Tuesday at 8 p.m. Catch up with the latest ATV news. See the latest television projects, shack layouts and much more. A good time to ask questions about amateur television. We use local 2-meter liaison frequency FM simplex 147.400 MHz and Berwick repeater 439.375 MHz. Every Tuesday starting 8 p.m.
Don't you just love it? Right, let's see if I can find myself. No, it's too hard to do it quickly. All right, so what I'll do is I'll go to the first segment, which I normally would introduce a bit better than what I'm doing now, but here's a recap on a question asked last week by John ATV, and yeah, so it was about the ports down 4 and feeding HDMI into it. So here's some updates.
Right, it's a question from the VK boys. It's to do with Portsdown 4, and I thought you might be able to answer it on the net tomorrow. I'll quickly just play the guy, because you know, you know the answer anyway.
Short one myself tonight. I'm currently using the Portsdown 4 with the Pluto. Seems to be working okay, but I'm only using the PiCam. That's the only video that, apart from the internal test pattern, that I've been able to get to work. So I am looking for ideas from anybody who's used the Portsdown 4 with the Pluto as to how to get a video into the unit. And I don't want to use, I'm trying not to use a computer. I want to have this as a standalone system. So I just want to be able to put HDMI directly into the Raspberry Pi.
Into the Pluto. That's the short question. Is there any way to get an HDMI signal of whatever, it doesn't matter what it is particularly, into a Pluto? That's what the question is. At the minute, the gentleman is using a Raspberry Pi camera, which is a very good camera, really. But not all that convenient, but it's a good camera nonetheless. I tend to use Logitech cameras as a webcam, and that works pretty well. Certain ones it's been told what to sort of recognise, so it knows what to do with it. But an HDMI signal is a totally different thing, really. Raspberry Pi can't cope with the data rate out of an HDMI dongle and encode it for transmit at the same time. Okay, right. Thank you, Dave. That makes perfect sense. Not hopeful for Pi 5 because it doesn't have a usable hardware encoder. No, that's a blinking nuisance, isn't it, really? That's something that was severely lacking. That was a bit of a disappointment, I think, when that was discovered very, very early on. But yeah, that would have been useful, wouldn't it, really? But there we are. The 5 is a very good computer, and it's much faster, but it doesn't have everything we want. Unfortunately, it's not perfectly suited for it's not sort of the perfect choice of what we would like if we wanted one. So Dave was saying, to answer the original question, to feed the HDMI into a link Pi and then connect it to a Pluto. That is, yes, you could do that. You're sort of circumventing some of the things. Yeah, that's a sort of a different way of going about it, but that works pretty well. That would work well, obviously.
Right, so I found myself, so much to, I'm sure, everyone's displeasure. I think they enjoy the chickens and the 9-screen far more than they do enjoying seeing my mug. But anyway, there you are. You've got all three of us now. So that was the short answer for John, VK3 ATV, to his question on feeding a HDMI signal into Portsdown into the Pluto. So yeah, not really feasible without a PC. That was that's the thing that catches you with HDMI. Needs some more intelligent, powerful device than the Plutos and the Raspberry Pis, apparently. There was that segment was a lot more involved, but I do appreciate the fact that Martin Martin G8 KOE, King of England, was able to ask the Brain Trust, if you like, over in UK, that question, and that was the edited highlights of the answer. If John wants to see the full segment, I'm happy to put it on YouTube or send it to him, whatever's convenient for him. And also appreciate Colin for fielding the question. Colin's a great builder and does lots of configurations with Portsdown and related projects. Great, thanks Colin for participating in that exercise. All right, I might pass it on to John. To Peter, VK3BFG, but just to acknowledge Ed, VK3BG, Richard, VRS, Stephen, TTF, and Mark, VK3PI, and Fred, VK3ZAQ as watchers. Tonight we have lined up, to the best of my knowledge, is Peter, obviously, and Clint on RTV1 to follow from Peter. Clint VK3CSJ. Then we'll come back to RTV1. If Clint, you could pass it back to me on RTV2. That'll and then I'll pass it on to the other characters on RTV2, which includes Mick, VK3CH, and Joe, VK3TET. So that's the running order, and the watches that I know of, and there is also Vince, VK3YVS, and do you have an S? Oh, there you are. And Martin, G8KOE, is asking a question. Do I have an SRT stream? No, I don't, Martin, not yet, but I'm very keen to talk to you about it. But I've got another project that I'm just coming to the end of, and I'm planning to address that investigation in coming months. So yeah, it'd be great to get your views on what to do and how to do it. All right, passing it on to Peter. Sorry about the long-winded intro, but here we are. I'll pass it on. If you like to, if you've got a set-top box, switch to RTV1. If you're on YouTube, just sit back and relax, and if I do push the right button, it'll all be coming back to RTV1 on YouTube. So over to you, Peter, VK3BFG.
Thanks, Ed. Looks as though we have audio this time, which is a good thing. Good evening, everyone. I'm Peter, VK3BFG. And I'd like to send a big cheerio to Ed, VK3 Bravo Golf, who's been in the wars a bit. But Ed dates back to the stroke tea time, so for those of you that know about that, that means he was on TV quite some time ago, that's for sure. Well, I haven't been up to RTV again this week, so it's some kind of a world record. So that's really good. And this afternoon I got a link from Dennis 3WhaleH for a new splash screen. I'll have to wait a couple of days before I put that one up, because with all the rain we've had today, Lake Mount View will be right in front of the door. It's a Melbourne water issue that perhaps ARVIC needs to mention. We're not allowed to do any works outside, obviously, but there's quite a depression running up to the door of the shack at Mount View. So you have this substantial lake, and it's needs to be drained a bit, or needs some filling in there so that it doesn't fill. It's basically a big depression just before the door. So that perhaps is a little bit of work in progress there. Perhaps ARV can request on Melbourne Water, see if they can put some filling in there. Well, I was just running through some old video on my, looking through my CDs and DVDs, etc. And I came across something that dates way, way, way back, and I know there's a few that are watching now that would not have seen this little clip. It dates back to before I was on TV, actually, and then up to when I was on TV first, which is where we certainly had a stroke T call sign issue there, and it was in the very early 70s. I had a series modulated QQO 320 on SHF, and I tuned up a 320 with a P-lamp, so we had some very technical test equipment back then. Anyway, I thought it's only just a few minutes of video, but it'll give you an idea of what we were dealing with. The video was would have been taken by Peter Wolverton, who's now VK3RV, but back then was VK3ZPA. And knowing Peter's hobby with all sorts of Pathé and other types of film, he probably had it would have been certainly an 8mm one, but maybe even a 16mm camera that he was using to take the movies that we're about to see. And it's basically his contact with Winston, VK7EM, across Bass Strait, and it was the first time that occurred. A little bit later, a few of us also joined in the party, but certainly Peter was the first to do it. And then there's a very short one of another very early ATV station, Alpha Uniform X-Ray, who used to do a little bit of transmitting from Mount Dandenong. I suspect he may have been one of the Techo guys up at the TV station, but I'm not sure. But anyway, there's a little weeny bit of video there as well. So if you'd stand by, we'll just run the video.
Okay. Let's move that. And alrighty then. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be back up on the TV. Just a little bit more audio there, I think. And good evening, viewers. That's some fantastic footage there, Pete. That takes me back. Sorry, what was that? Did somebody say something to me?
Missing video. You did have it straight away, but it's gone now. It's black screen.
I can see picture. I can see picture here.
Sorry about that.
We apologise for this interruption to broadcast. We shall resume in just a few seconds. Yeah, no, sorry. Thanks, Pete. Just make sure that level doesn't clip. Yeah, just making sure my audio is right. Yeah, so that footage was fantastic. It takes me back to the late 70s, where we used to do a lot of the comms between Mount Gambier and here. And I think we did manage. I had a one-way contact with a VK7 at one stage. He didn't really have any transmitting stuff, but I did arrange for a fellow down there. I can't remember who it was now, but a fellow down there to try and receive my transmission, and he did record it and he did send it to me. So I don't know whatever happened to that, but I have managed to get across Bass Strait and to Mount Gambier in a roundabout way. Don't you love temperature inversions? I think whenever we came up to the summer period, it was like delving into the newspaper to look at the synoptic chart. I mean, that was the only way you could see what was happening with the weather, was the weather report in the local in the main newspaper. And I remember Les Jenkins doing VK3ZBJ, the late Les Jenkins, doing an interesting study on 426-250, looking at the weather patterns and how we could use it to work out whether temperature inversion was going to occur. And of course, when it came up to summer, we'd be looking at the clocks and saying, well, things should start to be happening about now. And on 2 meters SSB on 144.1, we'd be using that to liaise across Bass Strait or across to Mount Gambier. And once the guys at Mount Gambier would say, okay, start transmitting, Les or whoever, and all right, and we would just be waiting for that report to come from Mount Gambier to say, okay, we've got sync bars, and a few minutes later, sync bars have locked up. Yes, we can make out a call sign. It was just amazing, that snowy picture, just the visual information that would slowly, gradually build up onto the screen. It was quite a thrill. So I don't see any reason why we can't get a digital signal across Bass Strait on TV. I think it has happened at one stage. I think the boys down there have seen VK3RTV, I think. Not too sure. But plenty of time for that, I guess. Anyway, without waffling on, I want to really come up tonight because I've had a report or an email from John VK3JCO, who was querying about the latest with the dome, because he's, like just about everybody, is aware that I've got a scope dome, a 3-meter scope dome. They're designed and made in Poland, and they get shipped across on order of customer to a company in Tullamarine, and from there they get distributed out. So the guy who basically does all the assembly work and the electrical wiring, Diego, he's done over 20 of these installations now, and between him and Mark, who you'll meet, Mark Ascario, he's the president of the ASV. He's the one who's got the funny colour hair and his crest looks like a cockie's crest. You just have to ignore that. But anyway, they've been going out to Perth, to a university in Perth, out to South Australia, and somewhere up Northern Territory. I think they've been as well as Canberra, places they actually take the dome with them and set it up. So they've been very, very busy these last few weeks with filling in customer orders, and somewhere they slotted me in. My dome actually arrived about a year ago, and the problem was I'd arranged for a fellow to build the deck using Merbu as the timber deck, but I don't know whether I told him or what, I'm not sure, but the deck wasn't level enough. And when they came to assemble the dome about a year ago, the deck just wasn't flat enough. It had to be really, really flat. And the spec that was given to me, plus or minus 3 millimetre. So, because the whole the whole dome rotates at base level, and there's several rollers that the whole dome relies on to be in absolute levelness, if you can say that. Anyway, that was the whole job of getting the deck fixed up took some time. I actually removed all the Merbu, and what I wanted to do was to get the frame level. In fact, I can probably show you that part. That's with the frame of the deck. With the Merbu removed, and as you can see, there's a spirit level there where I'm trying to work out where it is that needs to be leveled out. Anyway, the deck remained like that for some time. You can see the dome in the background sitting on a pallet, and it just sat there for over a year before I finally got. I just realised that I wasn't going to be able to do this successfully, so I had to get another builder bloke to come out. I was recommended, and I said, look, all that needs to be done is that frame just needs to be levelled out, secured, fixed and levelled out, and some composite plastic decking put on top. And he did that within 2 days. The job was done. So anyway, I then informed the people at Sidereal Trading that the deck had been done. That's basically what it looks like now. You can see that it's nice grey deck, and the dome sits upon it. And this is the back corner of the property here, and you can see that stub, that tree remain that's just next to the deck. That used to be a pine tree. In fact, I can show you. I managed to find just a moment ago an early shot of this corner. Now, where you can see where the dome is, and that tree that's to the right of the dome. So this is how this corner used to look like. So that pine tree was definitely had to go, but you can see this is the before effect. So I managed to get rid of that pine tree ever so carefully, and there was actually 3 possums living in that pine tree. So when the tree came down, there were 3 possums that scattered to the wind. They weren't injured. They're pretty resilient, those little creatures. So that's the corner of our property here in Narre Warren South before the dome went up, and that's now, of course, what it looks like. Yeah, all right. Now, some of you might have seen this video already. Like I said, the people who built the dome for me over 2 days, they set up a camera to do time-lapse photography, and so what Mark has done is he's edited it together and presented it. So it only goes for 6 minutes. Some of you probably have already seen it, but this is really for the benefit of John, VK3JCO, and anybody else that hasn't seen it. And this is the second airing, so it hasn't been aired before, and I mean this is the second time. So let's just segue into this one. And I think this should go straight away.
I bet you don't know what I'm doing today. I'm doing something different with Diego. Diego, what are we doing today?
Trying to find.
I bet you don't know what I'm doing today. I'm doing something different with Diego. Diego, what are we doing today?
Trying to find.
I can't put that on the video. He's such a child. Today, we're installing another dome. All right, the first thing we need to do is check to see if the decking's level, because last time it wasn't. Last time was a year ago. Guess what? It's level. This is what I have to put up with every day. Look at this. He's just like, I'm not working today. I'm sitting down on the job. I'm just going to be lazy. Wallaroo just went and sat in the car in the air-conditioned comfort. Have you ever wondered what is in an observatory other than the panels, like all of the components? Wonder no more. All of these lovely bolts and cables and stickers and all of this lovely cables, motors and control boxes, dome box and a shutter box. There's also Diego. He's involved in the dome too. Dead frog, anyone? Well, the base is open and ready to install, so just going to bolt them together, pop it down on the ground there, make sure she's level and centered to the pier, and then the rest goes up fairly easily. Oh, also, it's a Voltron day today, so Voltron t-shirt. Now, we need to make sure the ring is level. Level, 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 level. Guess what? Level. The dome's level. Sorry, the base ring is level. Now,
Can you put one there?
can I put one there? I've got to, hang on a second. We've put one there so that he can send the client a photo. Then it just fell. Did you get your photo in time? I hope you got the photo in time. Now we've got to do the first lot of wiring. First part of wiring done. Now it's time to pull the shells apart, those shells, so we can get to the other part and continue the wiring loop. Did you have a good piss, Diego? Yeah, you had a good piss. What are we doing now, Diego? What is this bit? This bit here. What are we doing? Tell the people. Don't stare at them like that. You wonder why they don't like you. We have to hook all these parts up. You have to make sure that the plate underneath is between the plates. See, he's so violent, isn't he? But yeah, we have to run some bolts through here, all that sort of stuff. That is the next step. Lunch is done, and Diego said if I ever see him gambling, I can punch him. I like those odds. Time to get back, continue working on this dome. It's not every day you see a tractor when you're in Berwick. So I'm waiting for Diego to get out of the toilet because, you know, he lives there. And then what we're going to be doing is taking, well, we're going to move this out. Try that again. We're going to move this back that way so that we can get the last of the stuff out and we can get the base covered ready for the dome, top half of the dome to go on. But while I was waiting, there's a dead guy here. Well, it looks like a dead guy. I'm trying to work out what the heck it is. It's a statue of some kind, maybe. Either that or it is a fossilized dead guy. Watch out.
These are the bolts you're going to use.
They are the bolts I'm going to use. Watch out for the man with the gun. He's dangerous. He's going to silicon that, and then we're going to stick it on here, and I'm going to bolt it through. Half of it's done. What was that? I'm going to the back. Half of it's done. Now we're going to get the heavy side up. So, it's running a bead of silicon. Now we're going to get this heavy bastard and get it on there and bolt it in. No, not you. You're not a heavy bastard. The door. The one with the door is a heavy bastard. I'm not being mean to you. I would never be mean to you. I would. I totally would. Look at that. It's like a TIE fighter behind me. Pew, 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 pew. I don't know. It's in a nice place. It could be anywhere. It's over here. There we go. Got the knife. Always sitting down on a job, aren't you? Gosh, he's so lazy, this guy. There we go. Getting there. It's almost done, but we're both wrecked. So the day is done. It's nearly finished. It's got the shutter, rolling roof to put on it, which we'll do tomorrow. Control boxes and motors and testing, and then it's finished. We're back. Day 2. Finish off this dome. There's only one problem. Diego's nowhere to be seen. He's late, as usual. So I guess I'll just hang around and wait for him. While we wait for him, we may as well get the... I'll get tripod set up for the rest of the time lapse. He made it. Finally, we can finish this one now. Who am I going to be super angry like?
Like Gavin.
Like Gavin, okay.
And you're gonna be super happy when it's finished?
Yeah, like you.
No, like Christina Ricci.
Like Christina Ricci, okay. Okay, all that is left is for this man. Can you see him? There he is. It's for him to finish the wiring he's doing. We've got to adjust the motor a bit. I'm going to get my daughter from school, and I'm coming back with a sundae for Buggerlugs over here because he wants a sundae and fries. I'll be back. I bought him his sundae, but I forgot his fries, so now he's going to be grumpy with me. Sorry, I forgot your chips, Diego. I owe you chips. Anyway, while I was gone, Diego finished the dome, and it works, which is good. And let's have a look at it, shall we? There it is. Another dome. Come on, Clint. It's Clint's dome. Are you happy?
Yep, thanks, Mark. You've done a fantastic job.
I did it all myself, didn't I?
Yeah,
just say yes.
Yes, he did. He did.
Diego didn't do anything. Oh. Anyway, see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and Patreon. See ya.
Well, those guys are, what can I say? But it was certainly good to have the dome finally done, and that was just quickly done. But well, not quickly done. It takes 2 days, basically 6 hours, I suppose, on 2 days to do it. The main part is the assembly work is done on day 1, with the electrical wiring aspect of it done the next day. The dome is totally automated in the sense that there's 2 control boxes, and one for opening and closing the shutter, and the other one for rotating, and you can interface your mount. Sorry, I haven't had any dinner yet. Stomach's upset. You can the mount that controls the telescope can be connected to the interface. So as the telescope is tracking a celestial object, the dome rotates with the telescope. You can put external sensors, a rain sensor and a cloud sensor, and the system is designed that if I can leave this going through the night, taking several pictures, several thousands, hundreds, let's say, of images of the same object. This is how astrophotography works. Because out of a few hundred images, there's very sophisticated programs that look at the best images and will take and sample the best images and then stack them to produce a one ultimate picture. So that's the trick, and that's yet to come. But at the moment, I'm waiting for a pier, a 600mm pier, to be organised, and an adapter plate to go between the pier and the NEQ6 Pro. That's what it's called, a fairly expensive control mount that controls elevation and azimuth. Currently, what I've done though is I've put my Celestron telescope in there. Now, this is a really wide-angle lens, wide-angle shot, so the image is distorted. It makes the telescope look small on the inside, but it's not. it's as you can see, it's resting on its tripod there. which means that it's not really that arrangement there's not absolutely the best for taking pictures because it's resting on the deck. But you can see in the middle a concrete pillar. There's a concrete pillar that's poking through the floor of the deck. That's a great big lump of concrete, and that's completely isolated from the whole deck. So when I get my 600mm pier, aluminium pipe tube mounting thing, that'll be bolted to that pier, and then on top of that will be the control system for adjusting the telescope. But you'll be able to have a party in that dome, and there'll be no vibrations transferred across to the telescope. That's the whole idea. But you can see the two control boxes, the one on the floor there, and one on the dome itself. The one on the dome inside wall controls the shutter, which looks like this on the outside. So that's about a metre across that dome. The whole that opening, the whole dome weighs around 400 kilograms. So it's a weighty thing. It's not going to go anywhere on a stormy day, that's for sure. It's totally waterproof. That's the whole idea. So you can have the telescope set up out there, and of course you can see the door. Sorry, wrong shot. Let's start. Let me go just back to there, and it should work. I'll just pause that for a second, so you can see how there's a door. Now, this is one of the reasons why I purchased this particular dome, because the door opens up and you can walk in. You don't have to duck down. Depends on how tall you are, but you don't have to duck down. A lot of domes, astronomical domes, will be mounted on a shed type arrangement, and in some cases you actually have to sort of bend down to go through the opening to come inside. I just love the idea of this dome where it rotates at base level, and it actually has a door that opens, as you see here. So yeah, we're almost there. This is probably the very first image of the moon. This is just the mobile phone resting up against the eyepiece of the telescope. There's a lot of improvement to come in that particular shot, I can tell you. But that was just an experiment to stick the mobile phone up against the eyepiece and see what I could take of the moon during the day. The sun hadn't set at this stage either. So better things are to come, guys. Better things are to come. So I think that's where we'll leave it for the time being. I hope you've got some value out of that. Hopefully, the next time I come up to talk about the dome, I'll have the pillar mounted in the inside, and the mount, and a telescope mounted as well. What's the time? 8:42. Okay. Out of interest, this Celestron, it's an 8-inch mirror Celestron. Because it's a Cassegrain type design, effectively the physical length of this telescope would be about 2 meters apparently. But I'm thinking about what they refer to as deforking the telescope, so actually removing the telescope from its current computer-controlled mount. That's all totally computer-controlled the way that is, and it can track celestial objects all on its very own. But I'm thinking of removing it from that mount and putting what they call a dovetail mount on it, which will then go straight to the other mount that I plan to put on. So this telescope will be then sitting on the concrete pillar, the whole thing, and I can get rid of the tripod. So that's kind of something I'm thinking of doing right now. Well, very soon at least anyway. All right. I think that's about it. Thanks, Ian, for doing it. Doing a great job as usual. And thanks, everybody, for watching. it's back across to RTV1. This is VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South, putting back to VK3QL on RTV1. Go ahead, guys. Thank you.
Great. So thanks, Clint, and that's a good update. You've done a lot of work there. Well, organised a lot of work as well, and I've learnt more about astronomy in the domestic environment. So that's great. All right, I better keep moving. Now we have. Perhaps we'll go to Mick, VK3CH, after my little bit, and I'll just turn that off. And then Joe, VK3TET. There was a request for information, I think it was Ed, VK3BG, about downloading the Portsdown software. All the information on Portsdown is on the British Amateur Television Club's website and wiki pages. There's a heap of information there, how to get started with Portsdown, what configuration to pick, why you might pick that particular configuration. So all that information is there. There's a knowledge base, there's a wiki, and there's also available for purchase various bits and components. That's hardware. The software is free and downloadable, and there's lots of helpful information on the British Amateur Television Club's website. So, and it's quite inexpensive to join. It's of the order of 18 Australian dollars for a cyber membership from memory, and for 12 months, and that gives you discounts on their shop and a magazine, electronic email magazine they send to you quarterly. Also there's back issues. You get access to back issues of the magazine, which are great for looking up past articles on Portsdown. So that's the story with the BATC Portsdown project. All right, that's all I was going to do. I think perhaps I'll do a quiz. So here's a quiz. I'll do the hard one. I haven't done one, that one on its own for a while. So here's a more difficult quiz from the collection. I've paused it here just to give you a little bit more time to read the text before the answer comes up. So lots of information there to decipher and to come up with your correct answer. And yeah, so that's the quiz. Hope you went well in that. Also, I'd like to pass it on to Mick, VK3CH. So I'll do a K, end of transmission, and we'll pass it on to Mick. Mick, if you could pass it on to Joe, VK3.
All right, and where's the other switch? So we've got audio there. Yes, we do. All right. G'day, everyone. We're Mick, VK3CH, operating out of Doncaster, and good day to everyone that is watching tonight. Clint, your little cubby house there looks like from what is it? A Space Odyssey. You know, open the pod doors, Hal. Got that real look to it, just the right shape. But there you go. Yes, been following that. You've sort of been on that one for a little bit of a while, but all good things take time. And yes, I could imagine that all the tolerances of having everything flat and everything lining up perfect would be pretty important with a project like that. All right. Speaking of projects, we haven't really been doing a lot, but we are going to do. We always say it's the very last one, mainly because there's no more socks and so there's no more cash supply. SG Labs, for the microwave stuff, has various transverters, and I've got one for 3.4 gigs because that's one of the frequencies that the IC905 does not have. They've also recently put out a transverter, a new version for 5.7 gigs. So we've ordered one of those so we can have another separate 5 gig independent one and use 70 SEMS sideband to act as an exciter for that. So things started to roll in the mail today. I needed one of these, but I needed it for 2 dB cut, and this one's a 3 dB one. So in the mail today, I've got a whole heap of these things, but never the value you want. So we've got a 2 decibel one there. The idea being that the cable from the radio will have, with connectors and everything else, probably about 1 decibel of loss, and I need just an additional 2 dB. What I'm doing is I'm fashioning it off the 3.4 gig one. So everything I did with that, with cable lengths, attenuation, etc., I'm just going to copy with that because it worked with that. So we'll just duplicate that. Then the next thing that turned up in the mail today was the antenna I'm going to use. I did want to use a dish antenna, but they were going very cheap. But by the time I got told about them, they'd all been sold. So this one has 24 dBi gain at 5 gigs, covers the entire spectrum. And look at this, very handy. If you'll see a little white thing down the bottom with a little arrow, that's telling you the polarity of it. So I just know that if I do that, it'll be horizontal. And the handy thing is the pipe will be in the centre here, which means the coaxial run to the transverter on the pipe won't be very long. I'm not going to use that kind of contraption. I'll drill 2 holes in this plate and we'll end up cutting that off to save a bit of weight. And yeah, we'll just have 2 bolts that'll hold it nice and steady. So we'll get around to that. And of course, this is just the typical end connection, and we'll just have the appropriate end to SMA low loss cable going to the transverter. And of course the rest of the cable, because it's 70 centimetres, you don't need to worry about the loss with that. So both of those just turned up today. So I've got some pipe that I'll need to cut and drill, but I'll wait till the actual transverter turns up from Bulgaria, which could be another 3 weeks, I think. So not much else will happen with that for a while. What else have we done? We still haven't fixed the broken what do you call it, bamboo pole still lying on its side. The XYL reminded me that bamboo poles aren't hollow all the way down. Where the wood joins, there's a little bit of wood across it. So I might actually get away with using a shorter length of timber. I had this idea in my head that I had to have something, pretty long, but I might get away with a different idea in my head. We'll have to see. So yeah, haven't done anything with that yet. Can still hear people on HF, but I'd be loath to transmit till that's rectified. I think that's about all the news I've got, so I think I'm handing it over to TET to take Joe, I believe. So I'll drop carrier, and Joe, you can take it. So
I recently came across a research paper issued by Apple, and it's quite an interesting subject. Because of my interest in LLMs, I got involved, and this was the inspiration for doing this Tower of Hanoi video, just to see how easy is it for a human to figure out this puzzle. Obviously there is some difficulty, but have a go. Some of you may have heard of the Tower of Hanoi, but those of you who haven't, here is what it's all about. The Tower of Hanoi is a mathematical problem that consists of 3 poles and a number of disks, each disk having different diameters. The object is to move or transfer these disks from one pole to the destination pole in such a way that we get all the same arrangements. The constraint is that must be satisfied is that only one disk can be moved at a time, only the topmost disk can be removed, and the larger disk cannot be placed on top of a smaller disk. So here is a little one with 3 disks. I'm going to provide the solution for you, but I'm also going to give you some thinking time and see if you can figure this out for yourself. 3 disks is relatively easy, but after a while you'll find out that there is a pattern. There is definitely a recursive pattern, which means that if you can do it for 3, you can do it for 4, you can do it for 5, etc., etc. So put your thinking caps on and have a go. For those of you that found it easy, here's another one with 5 disks. You will soon see the recursive pattern. Keep a lookout and see if you can see it. And obviously, if you can, then we can go even further with more disks. Okay, for those of you that are familiar with coding, let's see how we can implement this in some Python. This is a basic code to implement that recursive algorithm, which will solve for everything. And as a test, we've got our favorite LLM going through this solution.
The code implements the classic Tower of Hanoi puzzle solver. It recursively moves disks from a source pole to a destination pole using an intermediate pole. The Tower of Hanoi function takes the number of disks, n, the source pole, spol, the destination pole. The output shows the sequence of moves required to move 3 disks from pole A to pole C using pole B. The output represents the steps needed to solve the Tower of Hanoi puzzle with 3 disks. Each line indicates which disk is moved from which pole to which pole.
Right, right. Thanks, Joe and Mick, for that, and also thanks, Peter, for sharing those early videos. Geez, life was hard in those days, that's for sure, with analog and the test equipment that one had to work with. So, yeah, those videos allow you to appreciate the difficulty of the task. And thanks, so thanks everyone for this evening, and this is a wrap. What I will do though, before we head off, is, says he can think he can find it, is a promo for the field day coming up.
Get your gear ready and mark your calendars for the Winter VHF and Microwave Field Day. This is your chance to test your skills and see how far you can work on VHF, UHF, and microwave bands. And the best part? There are plenty of sections for single and multiple operator stations, including a separate home station section. But that's not all. Field days have a high level of SSB activity, so you'll have plenty of opportunities to make those FM and SSB contacts. For all the details, be sure to check out the WIA contest webpage.
For live news on the planets, cosmology, sunspots and more, every Friday at 10 p.m. Clint VK3 CSJ presents the Astronomical Society of Victoria broadcast on this amateur television repeater, VK3 RTV Channel 1.
Great. So another great net with all the participation. So that's great. And see you next week. Yeah. So it's good night from me, and it's good night from Lucy.